Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. I'm really ready for daylight savings to end. It's starting to get to that point where it is getting dark reasonably early, and the mornings are quite bright very early. Only a few weeks ago, I was able to do my evening chores at around 8:30, be out and be watching the sunset. But now it is almost pitch black by 8:30 out here. So things are changing very quickly as the seasons change. All of our chores are getting pushed earlier so that we can get things done before it gets dark. And I feel like it's time for daylight savings to end. Hasn't really been a big week this week. Got the haircut, as you can see. It was my first proper professional haircut in about 2.5 years. As I've talked about here before, we were doing our own haircuts out in the carport all the way through the lockdowns. This was the first time I actually went to a hairdresser. It's still sitting quite nicely because it's still in the style that the hairdresser had done. Hopefully I can make it not too crazy moving forward once I wash it, but I think it's going to be all right. It's very similar to what I've been doing before. Just a few little layers through the back. So much more comfortable. Yeah, once it sort of gets a little bit longer, I just can't deal with it, especially when we had that humidity. It was buffing out. But yeah, now got rid of all of that. I'm still feeding the sheep hay every day, and they run to the gate to greet me when I bring it in and try and eat it through the gate before I get in. But then they kind of run ahead and prance and carry on so that I have a chance to get it into their shelter, which is quite good. They don't crowd me too much, but it is funny that they try and eat it through the gate. So I ordered another 6 bales this week, which were delivered. So I'm hoping that that's going to get me through. Depends how much they are eating, I guess, and also how much the grass in their paddock starts to recover. With the much cooler mornings and with dew on the ground and with cooler days, but still sunshine, hopefully we start to get some green grass coming through, getting a bit of recovery. It'll be interesting to see how well the paddock actually regenerates while they're still in there every day feeding on it as well. My hope that it is a large enough space that there will be recovery in the grass and it will come back and there'll be enough for them to be able to eat once it's grown. Because we really don't have another spot where we can rotate them to on a permanent basis. Maybe I'll have to look at that, just have to see how the paddock does cope once we get into that more extended cooler weather and the green grass starts to come back. I had a visit from Landcare and Melbourne Water this week. They came to check in on the progress that we've been making with the blackberry spraying and other weed management. We did a full walk of the creek and checked in and looked at how everything has been going in terms of the blackberries, but also other weeds. And they're really happy with the progress that we've made and with the work that the contractor that we got in last year has done to really get rid of the bulk of the issues along the creek line. There is a few areas of blackberry that still need to be sprayed. And then we're now able to identify where there are some other weed issues that hopefully can be addressed now that we've got the blackberries out of the way. So the plan will be to get the contractor back again, probably in the spring this time, to take care of some of the other weeds. And we have the blackberry spraying rig back again, so we will get in and do some more spraying in the bush to help to reduce the overall threat of weeds in our farm. I got really stuck into the dye pots again this week, and I did remember to set up the video camera so that I could have some shots of me just working on the dyeing in my studio. I did have to move it around to a few different places and get some boxes to get it high up enough so you could see what I was actually doing. So I might need to look at a different setup for doing the recording of that. I don't know, maybe hook it to the roof or something. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, it was a bit of stopping and starting in terms of being able to make sure that I was recording stuff. But because I had it there, I was remembering. So I was moving it around as I moved to the different colorways that I was doing. So I did 5 colors on sock yarn, and I will show you the finished results next week. This week I am wearing Trick by Asa Tricosa. I'm not sure if that's how you say it properly. I'll leave a link to the pattern below so you can check it out. It is an open cardigan. It's got some beautiful detail here, and it's also got some detail on the back, similar to this in sort of a ribbing pattern in a triangle. And it's in a lovely soft 8-ply yarn. And I knit this back in 2013. It's actually a really lovely pattern. It's a little bit cropped, this one. And I think that was more because of the amount of yarn that I had rather than the actual pattern. Same with the sleeves. But I also like sleeves at this length because it's sort of where I would push them up to. So it makes it easy to sort of do things like, what do they call that? Like bracelet length. So yeah, Trick. Very nice little cardigan. First, to a few small things. I finished the sample square in Just Peachy, and I haven't cast on any more of those sample squares that I talked about last week. I think I need a break from this pattern. I also cast on the second of the Feels Like Home socks. So I've got the toe done, and now it's just the mindless knitting round and around. So this is a good portable project for me now. My big project this week was finishing the Mrs. Tumnus shawl. And did I have enough yarn? Short answer, no. Long answer, not by a long way. I was really surprised at how quickly it ate up the yarn that I had left. I ended up having to cut about, I think it probably would have been 5 or 6 of the short rows out. And I also had to cut out a couple of the garter rows at the end before the bind off because I just had hardly any yarn left. I looked through my stash to see if I could find a color that matched. I had a lot of different purples and pinks. There was only one that I found that was close enough that you could hardly tell. And it was actually part of a striped sock yarn, which has a whole lot of other colors in it as well. So what I had to do was wind off to find the purple parts so that I could use it. I was really desperate. And that was pretty much for the bind off in the end. So I haven't blocked this yet, so it is rolling a little bit. But here it is finished, but not finished 100% according to the pattern because I had not enough yarn. But it's really pretty, and I'm not sure that I'm even going to really block it out all that hard. I like how the lace has kind of got a cute ruffle. The pattern has you pinning it out and making each of these lace sections really pointy. But I think I might just gently block it just to open up the lace a little bit and not make it pointy and leave it as the ruffle. So what happened is there should have been more stockinette all the way out to the end. So this section should have been a little bit higher here. And then there should have been like 3 or 4 ridges of garter at the end, not just the one before the bind off. So the bind off is actually that sock yarn that I just showed you, and it blends in pretty well. I did think about doing a contrasting color for the end, but this is really pretty like this, and I think it would have been quite jarring to have a very different color near the end. So there it is, finished, not entirely as it should have been, but I'm glad that I actually cast on and knit this project because it was in my queue for a very, very long time. And I think it'll become it's quite a wearable piece because it's sort of like, it's almost a scarf as opposed to a shawl. So I think when you kind of pop it around, I think that's quite cute to be able to put over the top of an outfit. And once I cast the shawl off, I needed to get another project on the needles. So I cast on another yellow brick rodeo top. So I made the one in the pink with the white and purple for the bricks. And this time I'm making one that is blue with, it's a multi-color for the bricks. I'll show you the ball. It's really pretty. It's sort of like dark green with purples and pinks and yellows and really jewel toned and really beautiful. Actually, I think it's jitterbug yarn. I'm not 100% sure. I know I knit a sock head hat out of this, and that's what I had left. And I knew from knitting the first one that this will be enough to do the yoke. And the blue is Hobby in the solid unicorn, and I bought this at the same time as I bought the pink that I used for the first one. So I'm about halfway through the yoke. The colors are coming up really beautifully, and I'm using the needle minder from Mel's Stitch to make sure that my knitting doesn't pop off my needles when I have it in the bag, because I've got it on quite a short circular cable and I'm using the little short chiagu tips, so there isn't a lot keeping it on the needles if I don't have it in the protector. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.